Hey guys, this is Locke. This video is a free-to-play guide on unit composition. Just to first of all give you an idea of where I am, today is my 6th day of playing this game. I have been a free-to-play player. I haven't spent any money. As you can see, the recharge screen is still up. My progression is that I've beaten up to chapter 8. I'm kind of stuck at 8.3 right now. And I was very mindful of what I was doing. Kind of like I read a lot about the different units and the different challenges that free-to-play player plays, and this is how I was able to get to this stage where I am. So I'm hoping that with these tips about unit composition, you're also able to build a good team and focus your resources where you need to be able to progress very fast. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is looking at the cost of a blue unit versus an S unit. So both Hamel and Demolia are level 45, but if you look at the resources it takes to promote them, you can see that it's almost 50% higher to get Hamel from 45 to 46 than it is to get Demolia from 45 to 46. So when I started the game, I really wanted to only bring 2 S-rank units, because if I had a roster of 6 S-rank units, I would have a hard time leveling all of them up to whatever level I needed to. So I decided to go with 2 S-rank units, 2 A-rank units, and 2 B-rank units, because the B-rank units, they're also really good. It's not that they're B-rank, meaning that they suck and they are totally outclassed. If everybody was level 70 and everyone was everyone was phase 3 broken, I think then sure, S rank would probably outshine most A and B rank. But it's a long process to get there, and if when you're starting, if you're focusing on all the S ranks, you're gonna have a hard time. So I urge you to actually give the blue and purple units some consideration, because they are pretty good. Secondly, a lot of these units that I focused on are actually given to you for free. Hecate is given to you for free, and her shackles are also given to you for free. By the time I beat chapter 712, I got the 3rd shackle for free. So her skills are quite good, and when she eventually gets to level 70 and you phase 3 break her crimson, her exclusive crimson brand, actually lets her summon the 7th unit, which is going to be her dragon, her nightmare, right? That nightmare functions as a tank. It uses 120% of Hecate's HP and is able to block 2 enemies. So it's basically a tank. And I feel like that's a really good thing to have. So I really wanted to bring Hecate up. So I think she's a really good choice for free-to-play players to level up. She also is able to break 2 cores at once. So again, she functions as a magic dealer, a core breaker. Eventually, she also is able to provide a tank. I think there's a lot of stuff going for her, and that she's given to you for free with her shackles, also given to you for free, that I think everyone, especially free-to-play players, should very strongly consider her. EMP is a unit I want to talk about, because I think EMP is often overlooked just because of the rank. Like, it's a B rank unit. If I get any other purple archer, I should probably switch it out. That's not true at all. EMP actually does a ton of damage. Like, I was so surprised. For a long time, even if EMP and everyone else was the same level, EMP would often outdamage other units. With her ultimate, she often did like 5k, 6k a long time ago. Now she hits for like 8k, 9k with her ultimates. She does a lot of damage. So I very highly recommend people look at her. She has very long range. She is also, she breaks 1 core. And her ultimate, if she's able to kill a unit with her ultimate, she will refresh it right away, and you can use it a second time. After the second time, you have to wait a little bit, but she is able to snipe low HP enemies from very far away. I think she's a very good unit. I think that most free-to-play players, especially with what I said, that everyone should, especially free-to-play players, should be bringing at least 2 blue units. I think she is a very strong contender to be on your roster. And she is also given to you for free. So I would very highly recommend that you bring her. Luvia Ray is debatable. Like, I don't think she's a must bring for everyone. Some people, I've made a post about her on Reddit, and a lot of people said that they actually aren't into her. Like, they're like, oh, I don't think she brings enough for me to consider her. But the people that have used her generally have very good things to say. I also have very good things to say as well. She is given to you for free. You don't need to pull her. she is able to switch between two different forms. The first form, she does AoE damage. She basically hits two enemies with 67% of her attack. And then if she goes to her second form, she does a single target damage with as much range as EMP, and it does 100% of her attack. She has a lot of modifiers that actually increase this damage modifier significantly. Like, she is able to have guaranteed critical hits with her passive, and so that's the reason why I'm using this crime band, which increases her critical damage by 50%. So she's able to pull out a lot of damage. She also increases her own attack speed. Her ultimate also increases her attack speed as well. She basically is able to keep attacking and doing a lot of damage with her normal attacks. If I had Eirene, sure, Eirene is, I think, significantly better. But because of the resource constraints that I talked about, right? Like, you have to, first of all, pull Eirene. Maybe you can reroll for her, but otherwise you have to get lucky and pull her. And if you have Eirene and Hamel and somebody else, all S ranks that you want to bring, now maybe you're bringing too many S ranks and you're going to be a bit behind on your levels. So you have to think about it. I thought Luvia Ray did, something really well. Like, she was able to provide a constant source of damage and AoE as well, and given for free. I thought, for me, that was enough of a case for me to bring her. So I brought her, and I don't have any regrets. There are very few stages that I choose to bring somebody else who's a core breaker than her, maybe like 10% of stages or something. But in 90% of the cases, I bring her, and I have no regrets. I think she is fantastic at what she does. Hamel. Now, this might be a unit that is worth rerolling for, because what she does, like the healing she provides, she basically provides AoE passive healing to everybody around her. She doesn't attack, she doesn't block enemies, so she's on the field. Enemies cannot attack her. They can't defeat her. And she provides a lot of healing. Her ultimate basically enhances the healing effect she provides. She also is able to provide damage reduction as well, and that damage reduction is also increased for 12 seconds with her passive. Sorry, not her passive, but her ultimate. This is a unit that I think, again, as I mentioned, worth re-rolling for, because the second best unit is a lot further behind than her. That Hamel just outclasses any healer by a lot. I did not reroll for her. I'm not really a fan of rerolling. It takes too much time, so I was so lucky that I got her as my first S rank unit. If you are a reroller, I would very strongly recommend that you go for Hamel, because I think she's just good. If you are going for a magic damage person, right? Like, you can get away with Luvia Ray. I've been using Luvia Ray, and I'm at chapter 8. There's no reason why you need Eirene to get to chapter 8. But getting to chapter 8 without Hamel is significantly harder, So if you are re-rolling, I would strongly recommend going for Hamel. If you don't have Hamel and you don't want to re-roll, the second best unit to go for is actually Ariel. Now, you have to get lucky with pulling Ariel, but she also is able to provide a passive heal. She does a passive heal around herself for once every 6 seconds. Her ultimate also provides a chunk of healing in a 3x3 area that you can target. So she's also pretty good. She's not as good as Hamel, but she's quite good. So if you don't have Hamel, I would recommend going for Ariel. And if you're having a tough time pulling either one of them, maybe it's okay to spend $1 and get the recharge bonus so that you can get Ariel. Because having a healer really is, in my opinion, it'll take you far. It's so much easier to do these stages with a healer than not. There are other healers as well. Like, there are Anne. There is this girl who also heals, but they're not as good as the two that I mentioned. So if you are able to, you really want to put one of those two in your roster to do your healing capabilities. Now, the thing about tanks is, as you get further along, as you build up your units, all units are sturdy enough that you don't really need a tank. You are able to just use your normal fighters, like Zoya or Nox or somebody, to tank. But for me, I started 6 days ago, and I wanted to try to get through as much of the story within a week as I could. And most of the time, if I'm not using a tank, my enemies will easily able to crush my DPS. Like EMP doesn't last long. Even Zoya doesn't last long either. But Demolia is like, she's a very cheap tank, and when I say cheap, I will give you an example. If you go to chapter 412, this is usually the stage where most people get stuck at once. The recommended level is 41. I used a level 25 Demolia to tank this, and she survived. She didn't die. Like, you don't need to put as much investment in Demolia as a tank. You don't need to bring her up to like level 60. You can bring her significantly lower than the rest of the units, and she will still function quite well. She's able to hold her own. At level 45, she has 4.5k HP. Compare that to Zoya, who's level 60, who also has 4.5k HP. And she has heals within her passives. She has like her ultimate basically gives her 30% of her HP back. Her passives increase her healing. Her other passive increases her max HP. She is able to last long on the field. I would strongly not recommend bringing Demon as a free-to-play player, especially not in your initial 6. The reason for that, I mentioned that tanks kind of have limited longevity. As your units get stronger, you will rely on your tanks less. You will bring other units instead. So already tanks kind of have like an expiry date, right? And especially if you're taking things a little bit slower, you can just skip tanks altogether. But if you are bringing a tank and you know that they have an expiry date, you don't want to spend so much on them. So if I was to bring Demon and level him up to 45, the same as my Demolia, I will have spent 50% more resources to bring Demon up to that point, right? Because I mentioned between blue and S rank units, there's a 50% increase in the resources needed to level them up. So for free-to-play players, I strongly recommend not bringing Demon as your initial 6. If you need a tank, Demolia is more than enough to cover whatever you need. She is low cost, cheap. You don't need to put so much into her, and she does the job. So I think I think that's what you really need. You don't need Demon. For physical DPS, I have Zoya. I really liked her. As I was playing through the story, I thought she was a really cool character. I wanted to get her, so I pulled for her, and I was able to get her within I think 20 pulls. So I was lucky, and I decided to use her. There is an alternative which is given for free that is even better than Zoya, to be honest, and that is Nox. So if you take it a little bit slower than I am, you get Nox on the 7th day, provided you complete at least 65 of these missions, and she is a great physical DPS unit. She is able to, she can be your carry. She does so much damage, and she is more than enough to be your main damage dealer throughout the game, your main physical damage dealer throughout the game if you need to. But the problem is that you only get her on day 7. So between day 1 and day 7, you can't just sit on your feet and not do anything, because you do need to, do these quests, right? So you do need some other physical DPS. EMP is great. I don't know if EMP is enough on her own. You might need to bring somebody else. That somebody else could even be a core breaker. Like, you could bring like Labyrinth, or if you happen to pull Bai Yi, you can bring Bai Yi as well. They both do physical damage, and they're also good at core breaking as well. You can even bring somebody that's only focused on core breaking, like Chi, because Chi is great for that. She also provides a debuff where the enemies that she attacks are debuffed, and all your other allies will do more damage to them. So instead of Zoya, you can bring one of these 3 units. Like, you can bring Chi or Labyrinth, or if you happen to get lucky enough and pull Bai Yi, you can bring Bai Yi. You can also bring this unit, Langley, yeah. She's a great archer. She's even better than, she's like miles better than EMP actually. She does so much damage. I think she's the best archer in the game. So if you happen to pull her, she is another very good contender for that spot as physical DPS. But you don't need to bring her. You can, as I said, you don't need to spend your cubes to pull. You can use the units that you got. You can use Nox, you can use EMP, and then you can use blue units that are relatively easier to pull. You can use Labyrinth, which is also given to you for free as well. So you can do that. You don't need to pull and get Zoya or Langley. You can use the team that you basically already have that's given to you. And yeah, I mean that's how I structured my team. I made sure that I didn't have too many S rank units because they're going to be slower to level, and they also cost a lot more resources to rank up as well. You know, these items to rank up. Uh, your main constraint in the game as a free to play player is going to be your stamina. And there are two different phases for stamina. Until your units get to level 70, most of the time you're going to be spending your stamina on these things, basically mania crystals and gold, because that's what you need to level up your units. Like if you take a look at any of your units right now, those are the two resources that you need to level them up. Sure, at level 20 and at level 40, you will need items to rank up your units. But I found that if I'm only bringing 6 characters, as I'm playing the game, as I'm doing quests, as I'm going through these, I get these boxes that are able to give me items to level up, like these things. Um, yeah, so these things are already providing me the items, and most of the time I didn't spend too much of my stamina farming these items. I had more than enough from these boxes. Maybe I spent less than 10%, like maybe close to 5% of my stamina just getting a little bit more that I needed, but 95% of my stamina until I hit level 70 was spent just leveling these guys up. After 70, it's going to be a different story, because to get the items to promote a unit, to the third rank, you will need to get these items, and they will take a lot of stamina. So you're probably going to be, once you get these units to level 70, you're probably going to be spending a lot of your stamina farming these items so you can get them to phase 3. Um, yeah, so most of the time, like as a newer player, you're probably going to take a while to get to 70, and you're probably going to be spending most of your resources on mania crystals and gold, as I said. So you really want to make a decision on which 6 units you want to bring. I gave you some recommendations on blue units that I think are quite good. I don't want to talk too much about purple units because these are really the two that I experimented with, which is not EMP, Hecate and Luvia Ray, and I have good things to say about both of them, so I would highly recommend both of them. The others, I don't know enough about them to give you a good recommendation. I don't know how good they are, so I don't want to talk about them. I've heard some cool things about Ignis. I've also heard some cool things about Ruleka. Um, so they might be worth looking into if you are looking for another purple unit to bring along. But these are my thoughts on a free-to-play player and team composition. One other thing I want to mention, skills. People have been asking me, what level are your skills? They're mostly level 1. I haven't really felt a need to level them up. I think, there's one skill that I got to level 2, but I haven't really felt a need to have to level these skills up to progress, at least up to where I am. So, yeah, those are all my thoughts that I have to say about unit progression and which units to bring. I hope it helps you guys. If you have other questions, if you have specific questions, feel free. I should actually give a honorable mention to Wendy. I think she's quite good. I really like her skill set. I think her AoE ability is great. She's able to bring a good source of AoE. I can definitely see, if I did not get Zoya, I probably would have used Wendy, to be honest, because I think Zoya is just a direct upgrade from Wendy that I was able to bring her. But if I did not have Zoya, and also if I didn't have Bai Yi, I most likely would have brought Wendy, because I think her skill set is great. She does a lot of damage, and she is able to take a little bit of damage as well. She doesn't die so easily. So she would probably be the unit that I bring instead of Zoya if I didn't have her. But anyway, that's it for me. I hope you guys heard enough to help you in your team building. This guide was based towards free-to-play players. If you are a player that's paying for the game, that's supporting the game and helping free-to-play players be able to play the game for free, this guide wouldn't apply to you as much. The reason is because if you are paying for it, you probably have access to this thing here, which I highly recommend that you get. This thing. And every 5 levels, this will open up. You're able to get more resources. As you can see, you're getting a lot of mania crystals from here. You're getting a lot of these boxes, and you're going to get different boxes and skills and things like that from the other boxes from level 10, 15, so on and so on, that you're going to be able to bring more units. Maybe you can experiment with more of them. You don't need to bring 6 units. Maybe you can bring 8. or 9, or you don't need to bring, say, 2 S-class, maybe you can bring 3 or 4. You have access to more things as a paying player because you have a lot more resources. Another thing that I would recommend for paying players also is to think about this one. The unlocking the advanced surveillance order, because I think that the rewards from this is also pretty great, and I think the skin is cool. Like, I really like the skin that she has. I think it's a nice skin to have, and it's a bonus that you get at level 20. So it costs $14 Canadian to get. I think it's a pretty good deal for what you're getting. So those are the two things that paying players should think of. One third thing that I can mention maybe is this jackpot, which is going to give you almost 10,000 cubes for a price of 21 Canadian dollars. I don't know how much that is in US, but it is what it is. And you also get 980 of the hypercubes as well, which you can use to buy the item that I just showed you, which is this one. Like, you can probably afford the level 5, 10, 15, 20 or something like that with those cubes. So those are my very brief thoughts on paying players, but the guide has been mostly towards free-to-play players, and I hope it really helped you guys to progress. If you have questions, feel free to reach out, and I hope to see you guys next time. Take care now.